In tonight's showing of white belt testing with TypeScript and Jasmine, we're going to start off by creating a new folder in our directory. As you can see, I've tried this a few times just to make sure I got it right. After that, you're going to go into your directory and open up code, viewing that directory. The next thing we're going to do is create another directory inside of this one, and we're going to call it site assets. And that's just where we're going to keep the file where all of the initialization scripts are written. So switching back to that directory, I'm going to flip over to my original source and copy that file. And I call it standup.bat. Technically, you should be able to run it as a batch script by itself, but I want you to see what you're running before you run it, of course. So we're going to flip back to Visual Studio and take a look at that file. Just copy everything in the file and start a terminal and paste it. And if you paste all of it, then the terminal will just run through and execute each script individually. So while it's doing that, we're going to go ahead and grab the index and the index spec pages. Index is the page that you're viewing, and index spec is the page that runs the tests. So looking at the index page, you can see that some of these files are coming from the node directory, and some of them are coming from other files that I've created. So I'm going to go ahead and copy the first one. That's the source directory. I'm bringing over index and index spec. Index is the code, and index spec is the code that runs the tests. Right now, I'm only bringing over index. So I'm creating a directory for that, calling it source, and pasting index there. After that, I'm going to go ahead and look at the rest of the file. You see there's nothing else that's coming from the custom code. I'm going to grab 4 files from the test directory. These are Jasmine specific files. And I'm going to create a directory calling it test. And navigate to that directory and drop your files there. Or actually, I'm copying from my previous project and going to test and dropping my files there. After that, I'm going to scroll down. I can see that there's another one that was in source that was the index spec, which is the code that tests index. And I'm going to drop that in my source directory. Or I'm copying it from the source directory and pasting into my new source directory. Since we're doing this with TypeScript and I like to use imports, I'm going to go and make a few changes to my tsconfig. I'm going to change it to ES6 and ES2015 for the module. So that's a target in the module that's changing. And take a look at these files. You'll see that when I run TypeScript, the TypeScript files will be compiled and you'll see the JavaScript files appear. So I ran that with tscw so that when I make changes, the changes will be updated in real time. So I'm going to go ahead and start my server, and you can see that it compiles, and you can see that I have a test that failed. Expected true to be false. So let's go ahead and take a look at that test. And you can see that the test was designed to fail. It expects true to be false, which will not happen. So I'm going to go ahead and change it to true. And you'll see that all tests pass. Go ahead and change it back to false. You'll see that the bad test fails. Thanks, and have a good day.